Ooh, comfortable. Okay, so for this video, we're gonna do a little bit of a different take. Hiep and I will be explaining the tanks and the scapes that we already did for Aquashella Dallas 2022. Personally, I did 40 tanks, including all the little nano tanks. So we'll go down the list and kind of give you guys the concept behind every scape and why we did what we did. To get intros out of the way, my name is John. I am the creative director here at Ultum Nature Systems. So anything visual you might see on social media or on the website or printed brochures or even packaging, I always have a hand in. I have been personally aquascaping since 2004 on and off. I'm by no means super professional. I don't really enter contests. I just know how to make things look good. So to first start off, let's talk about all the little nano tanks that I did. The concept behind that was to create kind of a display of what you could do with some of our nano tanks. We have a ton of nano tanks ranging from 1 gallon to 4 and 5 gallons. I wanted to focus on 4 specific UNS models, which were the UNS 16C. That's also our smallest tank. It's a 1 gallon cube. A UNS 16T, which is a 16C but taller, and that's around 2 gallons. And what else did we have? We had a 25C, which is a 4 gallon cube, and a 25S, which is the 4 gallon cube cut in half, which makes it 2 gallons. And each of those tanks, I wanted to have not only different hardscape, but different plants that would be planted into it. Some are going to be terrarium setups, so no water, while others will be fully aquatic. Some are even going to have misters in them, especially the shallows, so that we can show you both land and water. Hopefully you guys like what you see when we actually show you guys the final outcome. Next up, we have the 45S that I did. It's a 45U shallow. It's around 5 gallons. The cool thing about these shallow tanks are that you're not required to fill them all the way up with water. You can leave it slightly lower and you can have a semi-aquatic or paludarium type setup. What I had in mind was to make this shallow tank look larger than life. I specifically chose larger pieces of spiderwood and even used gravel, which a lot of planted aquarium hobbyists don't really use anymore. I wanted that riverbed look with the spiderwood entanglement to come down to create kind of like an undergrowth. Fish that are a little skittish won't be inclined to jump out of a tank. They have like a little overhang to hide under, and it's shaded, kind of like a safe haven. The plans for this is to plant it with some terrestrial plants and some aquatic plants, and use a bunch of different types of rhizome plants to add on to the wood. Next, we have the 45E paludarium. It's the actual paludarium. I wanted to recreate a scape that I did for a 60U that you guys might have seen. It's 2 mounds, basically a pile of rocks stacked on top of each other, and roots coming down, wrapping around each rock mound. But at the same time, I wanted to use the 2 mounds to hide the hardware that we would be putting into the tank, such as filtration plumbing and the misters that we would be using. I purposely blocked off both corners. This will probably be very simple in terms of aquatic plants. I'm thinking about using moss and a ton of anubias just to fill in the gaps between the rocks. Hopefully you guys like this. It's kind of different and unique, but that's the great thing about the E models, because they're highly customizable. The final tank that I did was this one behind me. It's the UNS 75S. It's a 26-gallon shallow. I don't want it to be filled all the way up with water. It's probably gonna be around 3/4 filled. The inspiration behind this tank was really, I wanted to do something that had a huge wow factor. So I took a lot of inspiration from sci-fi movies such as like Riddick. I remember there's specific landscape scenes in that movie that were very jaggedy because it was in space. When I saw this dragon wood, it was really porous and it was really pointy, just like dragonstone. But instead of using dragonstone, I wanted to use the wood. Because there's holes in the wood itself, I can use those to my planting advantage. I might throw in some rhizome plants or hygropin or even mosses just to add a lot more character. Even just the hardscape alone, I'm super happy with. And then in the back, I'm gonna have terrestrial plants growing out from like a really high substrate line. Not only do you get to see a cool hardscape, but you get to see a cool hardscape that has a submerged portion and an immersed portion. I hope you guys like what you see. Can't wait to meet you guys at Aquashella Dallas. Enjoy the tanks. Thanks.
Hi everybody, my name is Hiep Hong. For those of you that don't know me, I've recently joined Ultum Nature Systems as their brand representative and content marketing specialist. I've been an aquascaper for a really long time. I would say debatably 2010, 2011 or so is when I, seriously started arranging aquariums in some sort of way with intention or purpose. And ever since then, it's been a really special part of my life, and it's a deep passion of mine. And here as their brand representative, of course, I'll be at all events and kind of representing the company, being the face of the company. I also do a lot of the social media type of things and content creation with my partner, John, the creative director here. And so yeah, let's talk about some of the tanks. I did come in a little bit late this time around, but we're all here crunch time getting ready for Aquashella Dallas. We're about 2 weeks out right now. Fortunately, I wasn't able to come sooner to help John out, but I did sneak in and I was able to do a couple tanks here, which one of the tanks that I got to do here is the 45T, which is a tall version of 45U. 50% taller, around a little bit over 11 gallons. I think these new tall tanks are really cool because we've been really focused on getting more width and depth front to back in tanks because, as aquascapers, we really like to push that perspective, and having that extra front to back really helps with giving more space to do all these visual tricks to get perspective. And man, in the last 6-7 years, people have gotten so creative with how to use that extra space, but we haven't really quite seen that exploration vertically, right? This new release of the tall tanks is really exciting because now we have a really beautiful canvas in which we can explore the possibilities going upwards. Me personally, I'm very excited to see what kind of concepts and ideas that people come up with, because I think that aquascapers are really going to start being really creative with it. And so it's going to be an exciting new frontier, I guess you could say. With that in mind, this is kind of what I was thinking when I put together this tank. And this tank is actually kind of special to me because, I feel the most passionate when I'm scaping something that brings out some feelings within myself. And originally it didn't start that way. The only thing I had in my mind was, okay, tall, vertical. What I want to do is find some really nice hardscape that's got some height to it, but also flat, so that I can push that towards the back wall and still have all this space in front of it to work with. And so I found some lava rock in one area, and I found some, tall flat pieces. I had a box lid out there, had the two on the box lid. It was looking really great. I bring it inside, put them in the tank, and they didn't really fit quite the way I wanted to, but the main big piece still worked really well, and I liked it a lot. And so I started playing around with it a little bit more. Plans change, and the rock that I had in there had a really distinct and familiar silhouette. What I originally saw was, just some kind of ape-like creature, but then it reminded me of Sun Wukong, or in Vietnamese it's Tho Ngo Cam. That was a really special fictional character in my life, because when I was young in Vietnam and when we first moved to America, when I was just a little toddler, that was like my childhood hero. Kind of like how maybe Power Rangers was to you, or Marvel characters. This was like my childhood superhero that I was just really obsessed with when I was a kid. So when I saw the silhouette, it just, again, it brought out that emotion and the nostalgia. You know, even some of the people here in the office don't really get it, how excited I am or how much I really like this scape. But again, it's really special to me, and it makes me happy and it makes me smile. So that's all that really matters. That's what aquascaping is about, is bringing out a happy feeling. And I honestly did put my all into this scape. To most people, it probably won't be my best work, but that's how it works out sometimes. But this one's really cool to me. I really like it and super excited about that. So that was one tank I did in comparison to what John's 40 something tanks. The other tank that I scaped, well, I helped scape, that was also special to me because getting to work with John is it's really fun. And I hope you see that energy and that vibe between us when we're on camera together. This was really our first serious collaboration as far as scaping a tank together, and it was a big tank. So we had a lot of room to play with. We had a lot of options in terms of hardscape, and we ended up with ghostwood and black cereus stone. I personally chose the black cereus stone because the ghostwood has a very light brown color, and out of the options that I was looking at, I was targeting a stone that John hadn't used very much yet, because the whole idea of this showcase for you guys at Aquashella was to display all the possibilities and options and really inspire you guys with different combinations of wood and rocks. So maybe we'll try wood A with rock A, wood A with rocks B, that type of thing. And so I wanted to see, okay, which rocks haven't we used too much yet, or John hasn't used too much yet. And a lot of them were the orange colored rocks like maple leaf rock. There were some other white ones too, but again, all of those colors were too similar to the ghostwood. And so I thought, okay, the ghostwood is really beautiful. I didn't want to take too much attention away from the ghostwood, but I also needed that contrast. And so I think that the dark cereus is perfect for that. It's got nice little white lines in it, so it's not too stark of a difference, but it's also got a dark color to really pop out against the wood. But it's not to the point where it would distract you from how pretty this wood is. I definitely took some time to select some really cool pieces. So yeah, the idea was to just have a really nice flow, maybe even a little bit of a simpler style scape, could almost say ADG inspired. So it'll be very hardscape heavy. It will still have a good amount of greenery. But the idea was, again, just choose a stone that we hadn't displayed or demonstrated too often yet. Something that contrasted with the wood but didn't take too much attention from it. And then we just started bouncing ideas off of each other, and I felt like it was a true collaboration where we both put in a very similar and equal amount of input and opinion, and I think it worked out really well. It also speaks to our chemistry, our friendship. So both of these tanks, even though the quantity of tanks that I got to scape here wasn't great, or wasn't a large quantity of tanks, but I felt like the quality was definitely really there for me personally. I'm really happy with these past couple of days. It's been super fun, super busy, but super fun. Just look at these tanks. I am so excited for everybody else to see them, for everybody else to come out to the show and just see your reactions and to interact with you guys, meet the community, because that's what it's all about. That's what's special to me. In general, aquascaping has brought so many special people into my life, and a lot of my best friends came into my life through events like these. 2 weeks from now, August 6th and 7th, it's going to be really great, but it's also your opportunity to meet us, the UNS team, me and John. We're just as happy and excited to meet you guys too. I hope you get to make it there, and if you do, we'll see you soon. All right, take care guys, bye.